Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on in DL Talks Football? We're back again with another video. Do me a favor, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button if you guys are here. And all I got to say is shout out to everybody who's joined us for today's video. Deluded Gooner will be joining us any moment now. And of course, shout out to all the people who are, of course, joining us from Dan Potts' channel. Big up to Dan Potts in Turkish. They just did a wonderful show, and I was watching it from myself. But yeah, today's show, we're going to be talking about Jamie Carragher said Arsenal have peaked and he doesn't see them getting any better under MIKEL Arteta. We got to talk about Martin Odegaard. What's going on with Martin Odegaard? Arsenal Champions League hopes. Do we have any, especially with the likes of Martinelli and Bukayo Saka joining very soon, hopefully coming back from injury very soon. And finally, why is Arsenal in the situation we're in today? Why is Arsenal in the situation they're in today? We got to talk about it. But before we go any further, please do hit that like button. Please do hit that subscribe button. And let's get this show started the right way. None other than the intro. Bang. Yes, people, what's going on? So before Deluded joins, I just wanted to quickly go on Twitter and show you guys something. And honestly, I don't know if I don't know how much of the transfer news that we hear at this point of the season is reliable, so we're not going to really get too much onto it. But there was some news floating about from Football London, and Team Talks. So the first piece of news that's floating about is none other than Lookman. Arsenal expressing interest in Lookman from Atlanta in the summer, and I just want to honestly, I would take Lookman in a heartbeat. I think he's a guy who can win you a match by himself. He'll score goals. He's another difference maker that you can bring onto the pitch. Now, I'm not saying he is an Mbappe level difference maker, obviously, but he has shown he can step up for his team when they need him the most in a cup final, for example, in the Europa League, doing what he did for Atlanta. So I would take him. He's better than Trossard, better than Martinelli right now. And what he's been doing over there in the Serie A, he's shown that he can be a talisman and can be relied upon. So Chelsea are looking at him also. So this is another guy that we're linked at. When we're going to be linked to a lot of forwards, a lot of wingers, a lot of midfielders, all sorts of players for the next coming weeks. And another guy we're linked to is none other than Bruno Guimarães. Now, I know we want Isak, but if you can't get Isak, go get me Bruno G. If you can't get Isak, at least leave with something. At least leave with something. And Bruno G is an absolute baller. This is a guy who can help transform any team's midfield. He can play in the 8, he can play in the 6, he can play all over the pitch. And he's just another one of those guys who we should have probably signed years ago when he was at Lyon, and we had an opportunity to sign him. We even had an opportunity to sign him when he was in Brazil, when Edu first joined Arsenal. And it's just another player where we missed our opportunity earlier when we could have got the player a lot easier. And now it's a situation where we look back and we say to ourselves, what were we thinking? Wasting time. We should have just got him when we had the chance at Lille. But yeah, Deluded, what's going on? How you doing, man?
Damn, my guy, man. It's a bit weird because I was doing a stream with you yesterday, man. I would say how you doing long time, but yeah, how you doing, my guy? Love for welcome me on, man. It's only right I pass through your channel. You're always on mine, man. How you doing, my guy?
I'm doing good. You know what? I said this to you on your channel. I was watching your channel back when I was when I lived in Toronto in university.
You're far too kind, my guy, man.
And I would see you using your iPhone, streaming from your iPhone or back in the day. And I would always, I don't know if you remember Q&A days, Friday.
Q&A.
Yeah. Always put in questions. But yeah, man, it's nice to have you on the channel.
Appreciate that, my guy, man. Appreciate that, man. I always got time
for you might not realize this, even though you're younger than me. You're one of the guys who made me like look at this YouTube thing and be like, you know what, I should do it too. Because
you did it yourself, man. I can't claim that. You did that yourself, bro. You took the decision to make your YouTube channel and do this, bro. If I helped inspire it, then fair play. But nah, man, I can't claim credit for that, man. Egal, you're doing yourself a disservice, bro.
Nah, bro. I do think seeing you do it with just whatever resources you had made me realize I can do it too. I don't need to have all the best equipment, all the best stuff. I just need to get started.
You're far too kind, man. Appreciate that, my dude.
And it's something like that. You know what I mean? But hey,
I could cry, man. I could cry, man. I wish I could cry, man.
Don't do that. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
I'm following your lead, man. It's your show.
First things first. I was just talking about it. Bruno G. We're already getting linked to summer transfer signings. Like, I don't want to go too far into summer transfer signings, so I'm just going to quickly touch on it to start the video. Do you believe any of these stories that you hear early in the season, just before the window starts? Like, we're hearing about Lautaro, we're hearing about Bruno G, we're hearing about Lookman, we're hearing about Nico Williams, Zubimendi. We heard about in the summer, in the winter, going into the summer. Deluded, where do you stand? Do you believe any of these rumors going into the summer, or do you just wait? What do you do?
Egal, you said it there. Do you just wait? And I think we have to wait, man. Until I see people holding Arsenal shirts saying they grew up watching Ian Wright and Thierry Henry and the rest of them, I don't really believe it, because there's no way of fact checking it, in it. It's obviously, essentially, these journalists are selling hope, right? Like, when you're seeing Bruno G, the Turo Martinez, this one, that one, they're either good players, top class / world class players, playing positions that we evidently need, like midfield and up front. I don't really take much stock in it. If I had to take much stock in any of the links, I don't think we're signing Isak, but to a degree, just us being interested in Isak, because the more credible journalists, the Ornsteins of this world, the Romanos, have spoken about it. So, like, I do take the Isaks, the Seskos, the Zubimendi ones in particular a bit more seriously. But, bro, until I see people holding shirts, man, not really, man. It's fun to make content and speak about it, and the game's the game. But, nah, like one of the comments says there, it's clickbait at best, really.
All right, you know what? Let's get into some of the nitty-gritty stuff.
Go ahead, man.
We spoke about this on your channel, but I haven't really gotten too much to speak on my channel about it. Martin Odegaard. People are talking about Foden having an off season, Cole Palmer having an off couple months, but Odegaard's been having an off season himself. Is it due to injuries? Is it due to his personal life, being a father? Like, this is one of the first players I've seen become a father, and their form dipped.
Usually, he might give birth, man.
Yeah, usually it inspires people when they become a father. Like, I recently became a father. It makes you want to change certain aspects of your life and become better. But to Odegaard, he's been performing worse. And I just want to know, like, what do you think? What's going on with him, bro? Because he's not.
I think it's a bunch of everything, Egal, man. Like, to answer that, I feel MIKEL, I think indirectly there's a bit of a, even the players I don't necessarily rate that play up front. I do think because of how MIKEL Arteta plays, and with the, the whole rhetoric we have around being a bit more defensively solid and needing to find more creative solutions or put our players in situations where obviously they can create. I do think there's a bit of a tax that I apply to all of our attackers, whether I necessarily rate them or not. I do think obviously being a father is going to play a part. I think it's a bunch of injuries, as you said. I do think everything plays its own little part. It's like a cocktail of ingredients in it that have led to this point. But fundamentally, Odegaard, you're our captain, and we need a bit more. You're too good to be playing like this, essentially. Like, that's where it stops. You need to, I don't know how, I don't know where, but I don't know the specific reasons. But at the end of the day, you just need to fix up your ideas. You're a big boy. You're one of the most experienced players. You're the poster boys of the young kind of stars of tomorrow that we're kind of doing. You are the captain. We need to see you in it. Like, whatever reason, you need to start putting in performances, really. I do think he was slightly better against United, but again, that's only because the bar's on the floor. Just needs to get with it. Just needs to get with it. He's doing all the stuff off the ball well, but I don't really see your influence on the ball, and you need to get with it. You need to get yourself out of this rut.
Do you think maybe we rate Odegaard a little bit too much? Because he might not be the guy who actually is the difference maker. He might just be a part of a good team, but not really the difference maker. Like, he does a good job creating chances, but he's not a goal scorer. He did score 15 goals a year ago, but now he's kind of been figured out and hasn't been able to adapt to find different ways to get those goals. And with Saka out and our attack looking weak, we need him to step up. We've seen him before, like West Ham a couple of years ago, when he took the game by the scruff of the neck and moved on himself. But we don't see that from him these days. And is it a thing where, similar to like Phil Foden or similar to some other teams, when you have good players that can get you match winners sometimes, you give them too much praise when they do well, but when it's not going well, you realize that they're not really the main man?
It's a difficult one, man, because I do think I was about to say Arteta. Odegaard is important to MIKEL Arteta's system with all the things he does off the ball. But if it wasn't Martin Odegaard with the technical ability, and like you said, or like we can all see, he's not doing the business on the ball, you're really doing it off it. If you wasn't that technical player with the guy, we would say it's all gear, no idea really. So yeah, he does need to. I can't say he's not important. I can only speak for myself. I personally haven't called him world class and top class and he's the best at this and that. I think for us, he's like the creative hub. He kind of keeps everything well. He clearly understands Mikel Arteta's system, but he's not a match winner like Saka. He's not as important to the team in terms of just winning a game as Saka. He's obviously not it's a different position, but Gabriel and Saliba. So evidently, if that's how you're going, and if that's what you're kind of asking, then naturally, yeah, you could kind of say there is some weight in that, really and truly. I'm not going to say the team would be better or worse without Odegaard, because there were times we was crying for him with his first injury to come back. But yeah, he's clearly not as important to some of his peers, because I do think before the season, people would have slapped him into the Saliba and Saka kind of realm. I probably think he's a level below that. He needs to step up, man. All these conversations will get bigger and bigger.
You know what? Going on to the next topic, there's a lot of players that need to step up, but just how many of these guys can we actually expect better from, and how many of them have to leave? Because we can look at our team. There's going to be major changes. It's not a rebuild. It's not a rebuild, but it's a revamp. We're going to be revamping the midfield and the attack over this upcoming summer. So how many of these guys do you move to the bench? How many of them do you get rid of from the midfield and the attack that we currently have?
I mean, even the players I don't rate, and I'm speaking collectively for the football club, from the ownership. I know the sporting director is basically walking in through the door, but from the boardroom to the owners, to Mikel Arteta, to the players, if anyone can look fans in the eyes and say they've given it everything, they've got no regrets and they couldn't have done better, then fair enough, you're exempt. Everybody needs to do better, really and truly. Everyone needs to do better. Everybody needs to improve. Everybody has to get there. But in terms of what you're asking me, in terms of players that need to be demoted to the bench, if we just assume Arsenal's strongest 11, right? Like, assume everybody's fit, I would say Raya would be in goal for everybody. Saliba and Gabriel be the centre halves. Probably differ on fullbacks, but just to make it a bit easy, I'm just gonna say Benjamin White and Timber left and right. In midfield, Odegaard in the 10 or the 8.5, whatever it is, and you've got the pivot of Partey and Rice. On the right is obviously Bukayo Saka. Up front at this moment in time is evidently Kai Havertz, and on the left, take your pick, people, whether it's Trossard or Martinelli. Right now, if we assume that's Arsenal's strongest 11, I think there's 3 upgrades that need to happen. Martinelli and Trossard need to be demoted to the bench. You need a left winger or someone that can contribute really to that side. Kai Havertz needs to be demoted to the bench. He's on big money. He's not going to leave. He can be a rotation option. And to be fair, he's pulled his weight a lot more than some of his attacking colleagues, bar Bukayo Saka. So that's the left wing. That's up front. Needs to be upgrades by default. Trossard, Martinelli, Kai Havertz all on the bench. Partey is gone. You need someone to replace him in that regards. So yeah, I'd say we need about 3 to 4 signings in our starting 11, and then it's just about marrying the depth. I don't know if we're going to go for players that evidently are like depth players, in which obviously Calafiori is at this moment in time. I'd argue Mikel Merino should, or if we're going to go for starters and by default our bench is going to get better because of such. So yeah, man, we need I'd say about 3 players to the starting 11. You need to sort out the goalkeeper situation. Probably need another defender, if I'm completely honest with you. And anything else Mikel Arteta wants, really, you never know, man. I think every Arsenal fan expects another left back, to be fair.
I think maybe 4 players can say they gave it their all this season. That's David Raya.
Oh yeah, sorry to cut you. I didn't answer that part. Gave it their all this season, or obviously everybody's made mistakes and whatnot, but I feel in particular that have really shunned for me. Saka prior to his injury, Wanyeri obviously coming through, Lewis Skelly obviously coming through, Gabriel Magalhaes is undoubtedly, in my opinion, our player of the season, and Timber really. I think Saliba's not been the Saliba of the 2 previous years, but he's kind of dying by his high standards, but he's given me a lot more than everyone else. Rice has been coming into his own, but I would say more the defensive part of our team would be like, they'd be up there.
Raya, for me, is one of the player of the season candidates.
He's had a great year.
Timber is up there too. So there has been maybe 6 or 7 players, not 4. I was selling them short. But plans for next season, Deluded. If I'm gonna say Sesko is the guy that comes in, are you feeling confident for the title? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, Sesko doesn't seem like we're taking a gamble once again. We're not trying to shore up a sure thing. Nico Williams. I don't watch La Liga as much as other people, but people keep telling me he's not that good. People keep telling me he's very raw. He's not productive. And then some of the signings we're looking at, it looks like we're talking about trying to sort out the attack, but we could end up getting a bunch of players who come in and they're gonna need time. And when I say they're going to need time, they're going to need so much time where Deluded is going to be a situation where we could be a year from now and still saying the team's not ready.
It's an interesting way of looking at it, Egal, man. But at the same time, this is why I always say when the club come out with rhetoric around there's no players, we want the right players, you know, market opportunity, everything essentially is a risk. Why I would say yes to Sesko and Nico Williams, I've never had a conversation with the recently departed Edu, nor have I with Mr. Berta or MIKEL Arteta, but the mouthpieces, the David Ornsteins, the Fabrizio Romanos of this world, they sit here and always peddle the same names and say the club have a credited interest. And we all hear and know that MIKEL Arteta is a bit of a stickler for, I want that player and that's my player. So if Sesko is your guy, if Nico Williams is your guy, get him these players. It's one less excuse. Now I look at Sesko, obviously you could say in the best of days, I'm not saying he's going to be Isak, but when Isak was bought from Sociedad, well, when Sociedad bought him from Dortmund, let alone when they sold him to Newcastle, nobody had him in that regard. So if you could take an educated gamble in which if you tried to buy Sesko last year, you had to have been watching him for the best part of a year or two. If that's your guy, make it happen really and truly. Of course, I'd love it to sit here and say we're going to get Isak and Gomares, and I don't think anything's a sure thing, but I think we both agree them kind of signings would be a sure thing. I don't think we're going to do that. It doesn't appear that, I'm no finance man, but it doesn't appear that we're struggling financially. But when you read between the lines, it does seem like there's a bit of austerity going on. There's clearly a remit to sell and get some bang for our buck, a bit like last summer. So yeah, man, I can't sit here and say Nico Williams and Sesko are level raisers, but at this moment in time, we know for sure doing nothing is gonna lead to where we are now, man. I think we need to do something and ask questions later. If as silly as it sounds, and I know we have to watch the pockets and you have to get signings right, we're at that point where you have to take that risk, sign these players. If it doesn't work out, try again. This is football. How many for all the signings we've got right? How many have gone wrong, bro? Like. We say we're very meticulous in our planning and whatnot, and I'm not trying to drop any of these players in it, but Mikel Merino's hardly pulling up any trees. Calafiori, you know me, I like him, but defensively, he's a walking hazard. He's not pulling up any trees. So how far does all that analysis and all of that kind of stuff go? I do kind of want some more experienced players in terms of a win now mode, but yeah, man, I can't look at Nico Williams and say evidently. I think you're good, and I think the concerns are valid, but I can't evidently say, yeah, you're going to be the guy. I could say maybe you're a better option than Trossard or Martinelli. I can't say Sesko is going to be that 20-odd goal striker, but we need greater attacking depth. And if these are your guys, let's get them. I can't say I'd sit here and think, oh, wow. You know, how did we even sign them last summer? I don't know if I would have said, wow, 2 points off City, we're gonna be able to pick them, but it's a start. Definitely where we're at this point this season with where Liverpool at. I definitely don't look at it like that, but we need to act, man.
I want proven players. Get me Acuna, get me Isak, get me Bruno G. If some of these guys, if we can bring in some of these guys, we know they will hit the ground running. Like Trossard.
Please, bro.
I know, but sometimes you have to pay more for
and
quality.
The new contracts as well.
Deluded. If we're gonna buy a new computer, are we gonna buy?
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, I agree with you.
You're not gonna buy something that you know is not gonna last you and it's not gonna be reliable. Why are we always risking it? It's like, I get it, it's a big expense, but even your biggest expenses, you always want to play it safe. You don't want to cost you.
And we didn't play it safe because Kai Havertz weren't playing it safe.
I know Kai Havertz was not playing it safe, but you know what? To a certain degree, I don't think it's as bad as some of the other players that we could have got. Rasmus Højlund, look at him. Look at some of the signings that other teams have made in their striker position, like Darwin Núñez.
We didn't buy Havertz to be our forward, man. Let's be honest.
Look at Darwin Núñez at Liverpool. Like, a lot of people are making 100%. Mistakes, but they're still winning.
And that's it. Like, nothing is ever just going to work. And I think that's the trap Arsenal fans fall in, especially when you read media reports. We get into this trap of it's almost like, obviously it's an investment, but we always look at this like it's stocks. Like, we do all this analysis. This has to work. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee Arteta will get us over the line. There's no guarantee the good players will get better. There is no guarantees, but you have to try something. And for me, we need to, even if it doesn't work, which obviously I want it to, bro, we fumbled in the summer. I don't even know a word worse than fumbled, but we definitely did worse than that in January. We talk about, as a club, maximizing the markets. We haven't. I'm past the point of it's all Edu, it's all Arteta, the Cronkies this. It's not the Cronkies because Arteta has spent over 100 million on Kai Havertz and Merino. Everybody's in it together at this point. Good and bad, you lot have done what you've done to get us second. How do we get over the line? Everything we've been doing to this point has not been getting us over the line. So let's try something different, bro.
All right. While we're talking about Arteta and everything about Arteta, I know you probably already seen what Jamie Carragher said. I'm not going to really play the video. I'm just going to show you. I'd feel I do feel we've probably seen the peak Arsenal under Arteta. Jamie Carragher has doubts that last season Arsenal would have been able to win the league this season. And he's basically saying he thinks Arsenal. He's been on an Arsenal tirade this season, Jamie Carragher, and I do think it's because he's Liverpool biased. He's really been like trying to protect Liverpool and put down Arsenal as much as possible.
Arsenal and Man United, bro. When it comes to social media, Arsenal fans are the poster boys and the ones that bite and drive engagement on social media. Behind that's Man United. I hear you with the bias, but I mean the man's working for Sky Sports. It's all about clicks on social media. Arsenal fans will bite at everything, even against Man United, rightly or wrongly. Whenever you ever seen Sky Sports measure a wall like for a free kick, you haven't. But they know Arsenal fans are gonna chomp at that. Yeah, gaslighting. That's the right word. That's the right word, man. Like definitely gaslighting.
But talk to me. What do you think? I think they said we peaked when we finished 5th in the Antonio Conte season when he got top 4 for Tottenham. They said we peaked when we finished 2nd the year of the World Cup. They said we peaked when we finished 2 points off Man City. And now they're reiterating that point once again, saying Arsenal have peaked once again. I just think people want to see Arsenal give up and just say, you know what, it's done, start over. And a lot of people, all their opinions is based on Arsenal are failures. They're not going to win. They're never going to get over the line. And they think this is the best we've ever been. This is the best we're going to get. Now, I do think it comes from a statement of like, they're just being a little bit biased. And I generally don't think he brings valid points to the table on why Arteta and Arsenal have peaked. But let me know what you think. Do you think these guys are being biased? Do you believe there's some validity to what they're saying? Let me know.
Obviously, I do think it's a bit of gaslighting and a bit of biasness, but this is what I said on my platform when you was with me. It's like I would love a world where all football clubs were all judged fairly and whatnot. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Arsenal fans, we have to stop, really, rightly or wrongly, have to stop caring. Like in the grand scheme of things, who cares what Jamie Carragher thinks? He's his own man. He's entitled to his own opinions. Not an Arsenal legend. Doesn't work for Arsenal. Doesn't want Arsenal's best interest. Obviously, if we were, it's not going to happen. But if we were to go and win the Champions League or win a treble next season, he would change. This happens in football. They doubted Wenger could go invincible, let alone if he was the guy when he came over from Japan. They doubted if Alex Ferguson could do the treble. They actually initially said Pep Guardiola would be a flop in this league. Not necessarily him, but the media. Fair to say that one didn't work out. I remember Jurgen Klopp got mocked because he said something along the lines of, I think I'll win the league within the first 3 years. Now, obviously, his timeline was a bit off. Obviously, I disagree. I don't disagree with the last season's statement. What I believe is that, because obviously we haven't got over the line, I definitely feel last season's Arsenal, if it was as white and black as taking last season's Arsenal into this season with everything we was doing, I don't think the title race is as done as it is now. Whether we get over the line is something else. In terms of peak, it's down to Arsenal and the players and the whole football club to prove people wrong. Because this is the same Jamie Carragher. This is the same Jamie Carragher when we lost to Brentford, when we had Ben White and Ramsdale. I can't understand Arsenal's transfer strategy, yada, yada, yada. In the years that followed, obviously, we did half decent. I think with the current practices we're doing, with what we did in the summer, with what we did in the January period, with some of MIKEL Arteta's tactics, with us putting certain squad players as regulars or just relying on Bukayo Saka, at this current theme, it has peaked. It genuinely has peaked. It has peaked. You know, he's been in 5 years, bordering on 6. We've had 3 title challenges, 2022-23, exciting going forward. Last year, a bit more resolute defensively. This year, we're a shadow of those 2 past years, and we're not better. I don't care about statistics, but we're not better we're not better this season in comparison to the prior 2 at any single aspect. There's obviously been injuries and all of that, and it's come to a head. We haven't upgraded. It goes back to the first question you asked me, where I said missing the opportunity in the summer. We didn't build on it. We was very naive. We assumed there would be no injuries. The form of certain players would continue. And I do think Arsenal fans, and maybe not the club, but Arsenal fans need to get away from this thinking all conditions are going to be fine. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be problems with the referees. And I'm not saying it's right. But with all of that being said, we're still second. That tells me there's a base. That tells me there's something we can build upon. We just got to get on with it, bro. Like, we got to get on with it. And even with all of that, we have not controlled all the controllables. Me and you were having a big debate. I always say the 2 games against Brighton this season, bro. Yeah, you can debate the penalty against Saliba. We should have killed that in the first half. The first game at the Emirates, I was there. You could say the whole Declan Rice thing, in which I agreed with the point you said, but either half, we could have killed the game. Wolves, something happened and we made it happen. We need to be on the right side of the variables, and everybody knows what they're going to get watching Arsenal, bro. We're going to, like against United in the first half, we're going to press well, we're going to dominate. You're going to have to set up as a low block. We're going to half and puff, but we're not going to really put the keeper 9 times out of 10 under sustained pressure. So I do think we've peaked with the current practices we're doing, bro. Like, we need to go back to the drawing board. And next season, the gloves have to be off. I don't know internally if there's pressure on the players and Arteta and whatnot, but the fans are restless. You're seeing it already.
Now, what gives you hope for next season? Because if you believe there needs to be major changes, what major changes gives you hope? Is it the director? What is it?
I can't have hope. I mean, as a football fan, you've always got like hope. I don't know how far the hope thing goes. I'm an Arsenal fan. We'll always support our football club. We'll always have a level of blind optimism with it being a new season and a new beginning. But I need my hope to be based around evidence. And I think fans can be forgiven if you were naive and thought the club might have changed the corner in last season. We finished 2 points off City. Yeah, we shot ourselves in the foot, but we was good. You would have thought in the summer we're going to sign some upgrades, as we've just discussed earlier. We're going to keep it moving. We never done that. If you want me to have hope, I'm not talking about you directly. If the club want me to have hope, you need to bring me a striker. You need to bring me a centre mid. MIKEL Arteta needs to show me an evolution in his tactics when things are going left. These things will give me hope. Apart from me just supporting the club and hoping we can do things, there'll be a time, I hope, that I genuinely believe in August Arsenal can win the league. With a lot of favourable conditions, we can win stuff. But that's not how life works. I don't like ifs and buts. I don't like couldas and wouldas and shouldas. I can't have hope. Berta, if you ask him, if you were to really whittle it down, maybe the sporting director, because of his experience, because of all of that kind of stuff that he does. But at the end of the day, he's one man. I can't look at him like he's the Messiah. He's joined in March. To summer's around the corner. He can have all the ideas as he wants to go. If people are not following him in his mission, it's a myth. And I'm not saying it's the same, but in terms of, even to a degree with the sporting director thing, like Mislintat was seen as the diamond eyes. Raul Sanye was seen as the experienced one. Now, I'm not saying Berta's going to be a flop. I'm just saying I've been here before with the kind of stuff. And I actually agree with Jamie Carragher's peak stuff, because we've gone over the project now. Edu's left, so we're going to get a new Don there. The club, the players, need a bit of replenishing. So there might be, you could argue there's at least 2 to 3 different positions. So yeah, like there's a bit of replenishing to be doing. I can only be as hopeful as what they showed me. If they show me a striker in all these positions, then I could be like, okay, we're serious. But I'm in proof mode, man. I'm in proof mode. I think we've got a good base. We could build on this, but we've stagnated this season. We've missed an opportunity. In these 3 years, it's a big L, without a doubt, bro. It's not on.
That's wow. It's a
lot,
bro. Can you be optimistic? To say you have no hope unless you see major changes.
I don't have blind hope.
Are you on the fence with Arteta to the point where you're saying, you know what, he might not be the guy. We might need to move away from him.
Because of where we're at, and because again, MIKEL Arteta and actually everyone at the club, rightly or wrongly, I haven't agreed with everyone's decisions, but rightly or wrongly, you've done everything to get us here. You've got us to second. I'm only intrigued now in how we get over the line. One love for the rebuild and everyone that's played a part. There's no point waffling about, he's raised the standards and he's done all this. I applaud you for that. You did that. Great stuff. In the same way Wenger did when he initially came here and those before him, you did that. Now the conversation is about creating memories and history. We have a very good team. Everything's up for debate. I don't think it's as clear cut as, I'm not quite at the pitchfork stage of MIKEL Arteta, like get him out. I think he's a good coach. I think you have some good tactics. I think you've got a lot of good stuff, but equally, you've shot yourselves in the foot a lot of the time. Like there's a lot you need to do on a football field in terms of your own tactics to also help us get over the line. Signing players is only one thing. I think everything should be up for debate. I think people, for people that provide balance, I don't think for balanced individuals that want Arteta gone, I think there is a debate for MIKEL Arteta to be gone. In other circumstances, he could have, should have, or would have been sacked. I don't think he's got a leg to stand on. Equally, I can see where people are coming from with persisting in him. For me, the gloves are off for everyone. If Arteta left tomorrow, I'm not going to cry. If he stays, which is going to be the case, he's getting 15 mil a year. It is what it is, man. We know it's non-debatable because we know he's not going anywhere. He's got a new deal. as I said, we had that little period of Edu and Arteta. The sporting directors left. They don't want Arteta to leave at this moment in time. It's not making sense. I've got as much faith as these lot show me. If I have faith of anybody connected to Arsenal Football Club, it'd be anyone in that first team who's come through Haaland that's a player like that. Gabriel, David Raya, Timber, Rice, and the same names that you would probably say. They're the only ones, but they're players. When I have my 105 million man Declan Rice coming out and saying, I'm sure the club will sign players because Tierney's playing left wing and nothing's being done, I wonder the conversations in there. I'm not going to say the players have been sold a dream, but I do think they have been sold a dream. Like, we can't sit here and keep blaming the board because I don't think they've always helped Arteta. But at the end of the day, they've given my man money. He has taken the job initially and he's liked it so much, he signed a new deal, bro. So I'm only as hopeful as I can see. I can't be on. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan. I support the club. I want us to win everything. New season, new optimism, and all of that kind of stuff. But if nothing changes, bro. How much times can you do the same things, expecting something different? It's put up or shut up. If you don't want to win a league, show me.
You've seen the videos of Arsenal fans saying they would not sell Bukayo Saka if it meant they win the league. Would you sell Bukayo Saka right now if it meant we win the league?
For a Premier League, no. Not for a Premier League. Not for a Premier League.
For Champions League, you'd say yes.
Yeah. Big up Bukayo though, but yeah, we ain't done that. Some things have to happen, bro. Like, yeah. I've seen Thierry Henry leave my club, bro. Like, nothing can break me no more, cuz. Like, the hell?
It's true. It's true.
Come on, man.
That's a random question, but bringing it back. Bringing it back. What kind of profile do we need in these areas? Because we're looking at all these things at this point. Do we need to just forget about the profile, just bring in experienced winners who've been able to score goals at a high level, or do we need to nitpick and look for this specific profile? Because I feel like in the hunt for the specific player, we're leaving ourselves short going into each window, coming out of each window.
I would love to know what the specific kind of remit is, and this striker that Arsenal are going to sign, based on what we hear around Arteta, and he wants this from a striker, and that it's got to be the best thing since sliced bread. I hear you with the proven winner stuff, and obviously whether you've won stuff at club level, cups, leagues, whatever, your country, there's all of that. But I've kind of moved beyond that, because you can have a winning mentality without necessarily being a winner per se. Like Gabriel Magalhaes, what has he really won in his career? I think he's got, for me, having a winning mentality is when the chips are down, standing up to be counted. A bit like David Raya. He made a mistake against United. He still did his thing, not really feeling sorry for himself kind of thing. And I've kind of gone away from that, because whether we rate these players or not, Zinchenko, Jorginho, Kai Havertz, technically Declan Rice, Partey, a lot of these guys have won stuff in their careers. Hasn't really meant much in the grand scheme of things. In terms of the personnel, I think where you look at the striker, it's a peculiar one, because being a striker for Arsenal Football Club is almost a selfless task. If anything, our wingers get more freedom and whatnot. You're going to have to be able to work the channels, link up play and all of that, and also score goals. So go and find that. But I do think it has to center around the ability to score goals. At the end of the day, like, that turns defeats into draws into victories, more points on the board. And considering where we are and where Liverpool are at, and how much we lost out on last season, it tells you everything. And also in crunch time moments. So yeah, and it's not even anything necessarily specific to Arteta when you deep it. Bar Haaland, whose general play is improved, half the strikers in today's day and age, it's not a standing still, occupying the centre half things. You've got to be quite fluid. And I think with you see half of the strikers linked with us, they all show elements of that, which is why Isak would be a dream, but it remains a dream. Midfield is peculiar, because are we going to persist with Declan Rice as this 8? I think we will. So we probably need to go and find that 6. I don't feel it will be like a typical English kind of 6, what Declan Rice was prior to signing for the football club. It might be a more cultural kind of 6, like Zubimendi. So that's probably that. A winger, I just want somebody with good decision making, but above all, a real, like with Saka, a real 1v1 demon. I'm not saying you have to be taking your man on 50 million times a game, but you've played football yourself. If you're a fullback and you know you're playing against Saka or one of them kind of guys, in this day and age where fullbacks got to go forward, you're going to think twice. Yeah, because you're indirectly scared. Right, if I get in a foot race with him, maybe I'll drop off a couple yards and show him a bit of respect. So I want that. But I would say, ideal world,
you're gonna go in for a duel, win it. Because Calafiori, I don't know if you know, he had a 17% duel rate or something like that in the last game. Out of the duels that he went into, he won 1.5. How is that possible?
I don't know, man. And this is why when, I still maintain I got faith in Calafi. I'm not gonna write a 22-year-old off in his first season. But at the end of the day, people say he's a centre half, not a left back. If you defend like that at fullback, especially in how Arteta wants his centre back to pull out wide, and just as a centre back already, you clearly can't be a centre back. All your strengths are in the middle and final third, all your highlights at this moment. But he just needs to go on a crash course, if I'm completely honest with you, defensively. But yeah, man, I just want level raises, man. I'll be real, man. Obviously, quality, it comes with paying big money. And as you kind of said with the Premier League proven kind of thing, we have bought Premier League proven quote unquote players before, and it's not necessarily worked. But I just want the right players, man. Like it's refreshing, mainly around our defenders. Like obviously, people have bad games, but it's refreshing knowing Saka is going to do what he's doing. Even if we could get someone that does 50% of Saka, it's refreshing seeing Saka, seeing Lewis Skelly, seeing Timber and whatnot, just doing their jobs.
Talking about Saka, there's an interesting topic. I've seen some people saying some ridiculous things lately, but do you worry Arsenal rushing back Saka to play for the remainder of the season?
And this is a double-edged sword, man, because on one hand, if he's completed the medical program they've told him to do and he's passed all the tests and he says he feels well, then it is what it is. You've got to play him in it. Like if he's fit to play, he's fit to play. And I'm sure Saka himself is going to be pushing to play. Now, obviously, if he breaks down again, we're going to have that conversation as to did we rush him back? Did we not? Like, should we have let him have the season off? Is there going to be long-term ramifications for it? And a bit like kind of not the same, but a bit like what we're saying with Berta. I do feel like at Arsenal at the moment, we want a bit of hope. Saka on the best of days is a bit of a hope. We're definitely not happy with what we've seen going forward. Definitely where the Madrid teams are concerned, you'd want to see Saka. It's a techie one, man. It's going to be a concern, man. And honestly, I don't know. It actually all depends how it pans out. I hope that he's fit and he's raring to go. I don't know. From the moment he's in a match day squad, I don't know if he's going to, if he's fit to start, if Arteta will start him, or it's you need 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then you get your start, etc. I did think Saka was going to be like written off for the season. I didn't even think we'd see Martinelli against United or back so soon. Never know with 2 weeks extra rest in the international break, fair play, but it will make. We'd have to do this stream like when we see Saka back, man, to see how I feel, man. It's one where I'm a bit nervy, man.
You're gonna watch out and see the signs in his body.
Exactly, man. You got to play it by ear, bro. If I'm honest.
Personally, I am not concerned about the remaining 10 games and us dropping out of the top 4 or something like that, because that's where people are really concerned. They're like, we need Saka for the last 10 games. Do we really? Deluded, are you worried that we could drop out of the top 4 race, or God forsake be out of the Champions League spot completely in a situation where we're like sitting next to Chelsea and those guys? Because right now the team in 5th, Man City, are, what are they, 7 points behind us. The team Chelsea in 4th place are 6 points behind us. Nottingham Forest in 3rd place are 4 points behind us. 10 games remaining. Could you see us drop that far where we're going to be desperate and we're going to have to play Bukayo Saka?
Boy, I mean, the only thing that is up for debate in the Premier League this season, just by looking at the table, is the top 4 race / race for Europe, whether that's Conference League or Europa. We all know who's getting relegated. Mathematically, I think Wolves could still be in there, but it's fair to say the promoted teams are going back down. Liverpool have ran away with the title. It does feel like, based on last 2 seasons, that we've solidified second. But at the end of the day, I believe the last time I looked, give or take, between Aston Villa in 9th and 10th and us, there's 10 points with 10 games to go. The last few games haven't been good. Obviously, we know the climate with injuries. I can't say I'm fearful, but I can't not look at reality. We are indirectly in the top 4 fight if we don't start winning games. Like, we really are. There's 10 games left. We really are. I'm not saying a panic thing and whatnot, but we're in that. You look at the table, broski, look at the table. Let me get it on screen. Well, let me just look at it.
I'm literally gonna pull it up right here.
Yeah, like we can't. I can only look at, bro. We are in the top. We are. I won't say we're in the top 4 race, but we could drag ourselves into such.
Are you worried that we could get into a top 4 race
if we don't start winning games? There's 10 games left, and you see the amount of players we've got available.
We play Chelsea next. We play Chelsea
next. Still got to go to Anfield. Still got to play Fulham. Still got some difficult games. Now we need to really stand up to be counted, but we could very easily draw ourselves out if we don't win in the next 2. And the other teams win the next 2, we're looking at it very differently. our results are going to dictate if we're going to just hold on to second like we've done in the last few years, or we're dragging ourselves into it. And at this moment in time, with the current form, we are going to probably draw ourselves out. We need to start winning games.
If we finish third and fourth, do we need to reevaluate Arteta's situation?
He's still going to be able to hide behind the injury climate and things. And I think regardless, like your position should be evaluated. There's reason to keep you. There's reason for you to go, because again, like I said at the start, for all of the good and bad, you've not got over the line, bro. That's it. Like, if you dropped completely out of top 4, then you need to get sacked. Well, top 5, because 5 gets you Champions League this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Bro, if you don't get Champions League football, he's gone.
Yeah, he is gone, because we know who abroad from aboard him is going to say safe.
No debate. But the thing is, if he finishes even third or fourth, there's a case to be said. How do you let it get that bad?
Because they're still going to. But the thing is, that would have been that kind of conversation just piggybanks off what we said against Crystal Palace when Saka got injured, or in the summer or in January. Like, he's still going to get to hide behind the injuries. And I do think, not even saying to sack him, the owners, they're probably going to, I know there's probably adjusted prize money, but really and truly, in the grand scheme of things, if you're just talking about the top 4 positions, or 5 if you want, if you're not finished first, it's not that it doesn't make a difference, but it doesn't really make a difference. Still getting Champions League football. So I don't think it would change much, really. And you are right. How did we let it get to this bad? But I think it's the damage was done even prior to us having that very conversation, bro. It was done in the summer. We did not get the quality and the depth.
All right. Champions League. Which Madrid team would you rather play? Or do you think PSV could slap 8 past us?
A big up PSV, man. Like, it's a big game, man. You never know what could happen. Stranger things have happened. Nah, we're going through, man. We're going through. I know I'm called deluded, but nah. I'd rather Atletico. I'd rather Atletico, man. I'd rather Atletico, just because, you know, they're still a good team. They got stars. We're gonna go into the Lions then at the whatever their stadium's called. I'd rather Atletico. It's still a mountain to climb, but I'd rather Atletico, man, because I just think we've got more of a chance. Real Madrid got too many stars, got a very street smart manager in Carlo Ancelotti, got way too many stars, will capitalize on their fine margins. And I think about the second leg, would I rather, and they're both difficult equally, but would I rather go to the Bernabeu or would I rather go to their place? It would be Atletico, man. But
imagine going to the Bernabeu. We made jokes about going to the Bernabeu with Lacazette and Eddie Nketiah. Now we're going to the Bernabeu with MIKEL Moreno.
I mean, it's in his homeland, so maybe he does something. And then, obviously, you're going there with potentially a half-fit Saka, a very talented but young Wanyeri, Lewis Skelly as well. We're talking about the captain hiding, which you can still get smacked against Atletico by these very things. But yeah, it's Real Madrid, man. It's real. I'm not on it, man. I'm not on it. Let us keep our record of, you know, beating them the last time we faced them, man. Like, nah, I'd rather Atletico. But we're in trouble either way on paper, man. It's not easy. Simeone against Arteta. Like, Simeone's Arteta's the way Arteta coaches on steroids, really. So it's long. Either way.
Hey, with the Berta links, people are already saying Simeone's the next Arsenal manager. I'll take him, but I don't think anyone will say no to that. But hey, he needs to learn English first, right? Because how are we going to communicate? Before we go any further, guys, please do hit that like button right now. We got over 200.
Smash the likes, man.
Please do hit that like button. It's been a good conversation.
As always.
Did you see the Semenyo thing? Basically, Semenyo
said his Emirates is his favorite stadium and all of that stuff.
His favorite stadiums, the Emirates, and all that stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I see stuff like that, it just reminds you that obviously we have a huge following, and some of these players, even though they play for other teams, they might be one day interested to join Arsenal. But would Semenyo be like that signing that we should look at? Because I look at him similar to how Liverpool signed Mane when he was flying at Southampton. Semenyo's kind of giving me those kind of vibes. He's really good at creating chances for his teammates, getting into good dangerous areas himself. He's an upgrade for me on what I expect from Martinelli and Trossard.
I think that's a good way of looking at it. I don't quite feel the same way. I don't feel the Semenyo of Bournemouth impacts in the same way I saw Mane at Southampton, let alone what Mane did to us in a Liverpool shirt and a Southampton shirt. But I do agree with the rhetoric, man. Like, if we're not going to go and get those household names, then you have to. And I always say, not that I want to copy Liverpool, but like, logically speaking, if you want to do what Liverpool or City have done, you do it in your own way, but you take little bits and pieces. Now, we're not going to do the City thing, blank check, etc. Liverpool fans are not necessarily happy with FFG even to this day. They've done them dirty in the last 2 windows. They've quite frankly done their manager dirty with the contracts and whatnot. But they between Klopp and now Slot, they're getting into finals, they're winning trophies, they're making it happen. When you look at them, they bought smartly. Yes, they got into a scenario. Alisson and Van Dijk were like the icing on top of the cake. They cost a lot of money. Robertson came from relegation battles. With the greatest of respect, Newcastle's always been a big club. But at the time when Ronaldo was there, they wasn't doing what they was doing now. Trent's come from their academy. Salah was known as a Chelsea flop. Mane was there for the taking and nobody took a chance on him. And there's probably a couple of... Firmino was over there in Germany. You buy correctly, you buy decent players, you improve them, you marry them together. Suddenly you've got certain man of world class, certain man of top class, and you've got a reliable squad. So the Semenyos, the Cunhas, you know, all the ones outside of the traditional top 6 that I'm sure you've done streams on. I've therefore put them in thumbnails. There is some rhetoric between grabbing them because I'd rather us do that than be in another situation with Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has worked out a lot better than I thought, and I'm not dissing Kai Havertz. I'm purely speaking about the rhetoric of the 65 million, really. I wouldn't be against Semenyo. Obviously, him being an Arsenal fan is of interest to me, but it isn't because I just want you to do the job. But that could be stuff. But unfortunately, as you know, my guy, everyone's got money in the Prem. Bournemouth, I can't remember the player, but Bournemouth went toe-to-toe with AC Milan for a player a few years ago. Look at the climate we're in. You can't bully these teams anymore. If you want him, you've got to pay top whack. And when we've been linked with
Juventus' best young centre-back.
This is what I'm saying. And when you want to buy these talented Premier League players, you have to pay the going rate. Everybody wants to make
50 million plus. Sometimes.
Exactly, bro. You've seen it yourself. When we've gone for Caicedo, and sometimes we've gone for Douglas Luiz, we've gone for these Premier League guys. We've been chasing them and chasing them and chasing them. And then it becomes apparent that we're not going to be able to agree a fee. So it's either we pay the money or we find the stars of tomorrow. Even when we can't, we need to do something.
Douglas Luiz, we wanted him. And then it becomes to a point where we're just like, he's free on loan, but we don't want him.
Ollie Watkins in January, rightly or wrongly. I'm just saying this is the climate. You either pay the money, negotiate a midpoint, or try something else.
Even
or do what we've done with nothing.
Even Yuri Tillemans, we were linked to him. He's on a free. We don't want him. Like, what are we doing? Are these links fake?
Right now in the middle of the park, man.
Are these links fake or what? But hey, breaking news: William Saliba is doing the press conference, talking to the media about Arsenal. And first thing he's asked about, what do you think it is?
New contract.
William Saliba on his contract. I'm happy. Of course, he's going to say that. I want to continue here.
I got Arsenal pens for you, Saliba. I actually got Arsenal pens. Sign on the dotted line, man. Put a release clause in that. If I'm Saliba, I'm not going to lie to you. I want to see a bit more ambition for my football club. And sinisterly, I'm running that contract down as far as I can, purely because every week and every day that I take my time, you're going to throw some more zeros. I'm not one to care about finances or whatever, but you would imagine, like you said, Nico Williams earlier, right? He's on big money already. If you come to Arsenal, you're not taking a wage cut. If we live in an imaginary world and we say we sign Isak and he's on 200 odd grand a week, you want to be on that. Kai Havertz could arguably be a rotationary option player.
You want to sign them up before you go and sign some other new player.
You get it. And you know you've got Real Madrid. Not only Real Madrid, because Real Madrid have always had French ties, but it's a French revolution over there. You really think Mbappe, forget being French footballers, that's his boy from they were little kids. Mbappe, Camavinga, the rest of them, they're all probably texting Saliba. And look around the centre-half market. You mentioned the Bournemouth lad, he's good. Saliba probably the poster boy. I don't know though, man, because they're linked with Saliba. Real Madrid are linked with Saliba as well.
Morello. There's so many.
Morello, who Edu wanted apparently. He'd have been good. There's some good players. But
I'm then, lie to you, looking back at everything we're hearing now, it sounds like Edu was not allowed to do what he wanted to do, because he wanted Paqueta, he wanted Morello, he wanted Bruno Guimarães. None of these guys walked in the building.
And this is the thing. And this is the thing. Like, Edu's probably got some things wrong, but this is where I think it needs to be an equal playing field. Going back to the Liverpool example, I'm sure Michael Edwards off his own back got a lot of things wrong. I'm sure Klopp's own targets didn't work out. But sometimes you need to find that middle ground. It's well known that Klopp wanted Julian Brandt, Michael Edwards wanted Salah. it's fair to say Salah's been a half decent player for Liverpool. This is why I don't feel there should be like one spokesperson. If it was a Wenger thing, I would somewhat understand it because of his experience. But even Arsene Wenger didn't want to adapt to the new game, so he's missing out on players. It needs to be a collaborative thing, and it does feel like Arteta's got a lot of power. And it'll be interesting, bro, to see how Berta and Arteta coexist or what Berta does, because it's not that I'm not expecting much. I'm expecting areas to be addressed, but the man has just, well, he's not officially been confirmed, but he's just walked into the club. How much can you really change? How much? Like, it's going to take time to show your mark. So we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. And I'm not trying to diss these players, but we need to get evident quality. We need to get away from expensive gambles like Kai Havertz. Again, he's not. I'm not blaming him, but 65 million maybe could have been spent elsewhere. Marino, not dissing you. Maybe that could have been spent better elsewhere. And other ones as well, they're not alone. We need to get some bang for our buck now, man.
Personally, bro.
It's mad. I mean...
Why did football's supposed to be fun? But I feel like talking about Arsenal it becomes depressing.
Do you know what? For me, it's blank, really. Like, it's blank. The only times I really get annoyed about Arsenal is like when I don't feel we've left it all out there on the pitch, because I don't really care if we're winning titles, winning Champions Leagues, getting relegated, playing at any level. I do believe you need to give it all, like everything, leave it out there. If you lose to your fellow team, fellow opponents, fellow footballers, you shake your hands. That's the only time I get annoyed. I haven't seen anything different. So how can I get annoyed? I can't change Arsenal. I can't do what I want. These lot are going to their nice houses and getting paid. And you know me, I'm not one of them fans that starts talking about money and things of that ilk. But if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I love my club, support my team. That's about it, man. In terms of real ambition and all of that, I'll dream of a world, but I don't feel I think we'd like to win. I don't think we'd want to win. I do think there's still that culture of just being happy to be there. I do think Arteta wants to win, but you're going about it in a naive way.
Listen
he wants to win. He's just going about it in a naive way.
Winning trophies, we're very close. We are going to keep going.
Players,
we don't stop working. When we are close, like this, when you don't win trophies, it's sad, but I'm really sure it will arrive there. These guys.
I hope so, Saliba, man.
Yeah, man. You know what? This is what I like to hear. That these guys are not going to give up.
Egal, man.
What?
I hear him, man. He's not wrong, but he's not going to say any different. If me and you was his close friend, maybe he says something, maybe still upbeat, but maybe a bit different to that. Like, you're not going to say anything different. But you're right. I do like to hear that. And Saliba's not been shy about speaking about winning trophies. He's not. He's spoken about wanting to win it for the club, wanting to win it for himself, wanting to win it for him, you know, like to be known as one of the best in the world, and why you need that as part of the argument. I mean, the only positive with that is, at least on paper, the players haven't down tools yet. I think if at any moment it appears to me that the players have down tools under Arteta, whether I rate him or not, you need to go. And I think that goes for every manager.
Bro, I would not ever say that a manager should stay if the team and the players have lost faith in him.
You lose the dressing room and speak.
At this moment in time, no one can say the players or have lost faith in Arteta.
They've been shortchanged like us fans, man. I'll be real.
He still has the full faith of the players. It's just he's lost a lot of faith from the fans. And a lot of fans never really rated him in the first place. So I get it.
I don't even think it's just Arteta. Have you noticed? I keep saying the whole club. Everybody, if anyone's got my sympathies, it's the players. Now, obviously, the players are the ones playing, and we've spoken about like Odegaard or whatever. But end of the day, you lot can't change the culture. But I do think you lot have been done dirty. Like, if I was in that dressing room, we've all played football, bro. You know it's demoralizing when you're going out there. You know you haven't got your best player in big games. You know that the signing, the market is open and it's not being signed. The players have been shortchanged. That's why I say for the whole club, you've all upset me. I mean, I've always kind of felt like this with Arsenal, but I'd be a liar if I sat here and said in the last 2 years prior to this, or 2.5 years, so like last season going into the summer, I felt that this club's in the Emirates era, bro. This club has done a lot of talking, and it's not always correlated to physically doing. There was a period in these 2 years where I said, you know what, fair enough. It's kind of correlating. And when I saw that summer, I can't sit here and say that was serious, bro. Like, I don't believe in ifs and buts and if we can keep everybody.
But you know what? I also look at Arsenal this season deluded, and call it excuse, whatever you want. But I look at it as like, you know, when you're playing a sport and the best players, the two best players on the team are not there, and you know you're like the third best player and you have to step up. but it's not as easy because it doesn't come to you as easy as the rest of those guys, and they kind of make you better as a player. That's how I feel the team has been going this season, where it's like they're showing up, and there's a couple players missing, but they're still going and they're trying their best out there.
At the moment, they're trying within their evident limitations, and I think we're at where we're at. Like, you know, away from Arsenal, Man United, and the isolated, unique incidences to that game in particular, brother, we are watching the same thing week in, week out, and we have when everybody's fit, left, right, back to back, going backwards, can't break down a low block. And I'm not saying these things are easy. Exactly. But like, if nothing changes, I keep saying it, if nothing changes, bro.
Something can change. He can go and get better coaching behind the scenes. He can get better coaches to back him up, because whatever we say about Steven Rouse, him leaving, there has been a change.
Are they listening to Arteta as well? I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, these lot are like consultants, because I do think Arteta's listened, because you're not a specialist for set pieces, but you can caveat that.
And Steven Rouse, the only person who could talk back to him.
Yeah, no, but he like, it's like you're a coach. Like, I'm the manager, you're the coach. Egal is saying to me, "Oh, Deluded, you've got to change how your approach." I sit here and I say, "No, I want Declan Rice flying forward. I want to keep doing that." And you're giving me a detailed report and to reasons as to why I should change. I'm still sticking to that, and I don't agree with it, but I hear it, because at the end of the day, as a manager, your job's on the line, isn't it? Like, you're dying on your sword, but that is the issue. Like, it could be that, but ultimately, rightly or wrongly,
you're only as good as the sum of your parts.
Pardon me?
You're only as good as the sum of your parts. Like, if you don't
trust
the people
around you,
are you
getting the best out of your parts?
Yeah. If you don't trust the people around you, why do you have them around you?
And this is the thing. And ultimately, unfortunately, Egal, like, this is football.
We don't know.
Everything, yeah, we don't know, but everything is going to fall on the manager at some point. Maybe not so much now, and it's not just an Arsenal isolated incident. It's the manager. You're the easiest one to sack. It's harder to get rid of. Obviously, Edu actually left. It's easier to get rid of a manager than it is 20 odd players. Like, look, I'm not to make it about other clubs, but Chelsea, like, the Chelsea players have let their club down as much as anything. It's easier to get rid of Maresca than owners or whatever. This is the industry. This is the industry they're in. This is the belly of the beast. This is the nature of football at Premier League level, unfortunately, for him.
Hey, bro, you're gonna be live later at 1 o'clock. We're gonna end it off here. Give you 15 minutes before you gotta get your sorted out.
That's been great, man. Time flies, man. I didn't even look at the clock.
Yeah, but thank you for joining, man. Really do appreciate it.
Nah, man, you owed this. It's always nice to speak, man. It's always nice to have a decent reasoning with some Arsenal fans, man. Like, it makes a change, man. It's nice. It's very good for me, man.
I'm not as deluded as people think, and even though your name's Deluded Gooner, you're probably way less deluded than 90% of the fan base.
Appreciate it, man. Like, I always see a comment like Deluded Gooner whenever I do a video with you as well, man. It kills me, man. But that's the thing, though, man. Everyone's allowed their opinion. You can be as happy as Larry or as negative as you want, as long as my thing is, as long as you're being respectful. Who cares? Like, who really cares? You think what you think, I think what I think. I might learn something from you.
One thing I know about Arsenal, being positive in the Arsenal fan base, even whichever way you do it, the way I do it, the way Alex does it, the way Babs does it, or being negative, whichever way it is, it's divisive, it's controversial, and there's going to be people against it and for it. And whatever opinion you have, just say your opinion and back it. If people don't agree with you, it comes with the territory. And I'm just used to it.
You can't please everyone, man. Just say your piece and keep it moving. Like, I'm someone that likes to reason. And if I have if I think Saka, for example, I think Saka's a good player. I think he's top world class, for example. And the gal says to me, you know what? I don't think he's world class because of X, Y, Z. If I think, he's actually got a point, that might make me change my opinion. I know that's seen as toxic in football, but that's how I like to run things. You never know, man, what you could learn.
Did you see my tweet yesterday? I'm still getting cooked about it. What phase is slotting?
You love the social media thing, man. But it's true. What phase? You know what? For Slot, the real work starts next season, innit? Because if Liverpool
lose Mo Salah, that's when we see you start from like.
Yeah, no, it's not even that. If Liverpool were in our situation, a lot more would be highlighted. But that's where I think, FSG might be a bit smug. Well, we had Jurgen Klopp, who was great. We've got rid of him and we've got Slot. I think the fact that Liverpool are running away with the league, makes people forget. And it's not Liverpool fans or on Slot. Do you know how dirty FSG has done a new manager? You got your 3 key players deals running out. You signed a half-fit Chiesa. You fumbled. You didn't sign anything of note in the summer. You didn't sign anything for them in Jan. Obviously, they're now at the top, so the only way is down, especially if they not only win the Prem, but possibly the Champs and the League Cup, etc. And, you know, they're going to have to bring in players. And away from the guys that are potentially leaving, Darwin Núñez is linked with a move away. I personally don't think Slot rates him like that, and he's using him because needs must. The real work starts next season, and they need to back him. But I don't think there's very few Premier League clubs. I genuinely feel their owners care as much as the fans. I think Newcastle, they've got the oil money. Chelsea are probably going about in the wrong way, but the heart's in the right place. City as well. You speak to Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United. Half these, well, Brighton are cool, but half of the teams are not happy. Nottingham Forest, calm. Yeah, there's a couple exceptions, but generally to the rule, it's a madness, man.
Anyways, we're going to wrap it up here, guys. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Go check out Deluded Gooner's channel. The link to his channel is in the title of the video. And yeah, we're out of here, people. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thank you, man. Bless.
No worries. Don't know.